Getting 10 candidates was pretty easy because we didn't have to do anything. That was focus and find. That was difficult for them. They had their challenging process of finding what, I think most people were describing as unicorns. What was interesting, and speaking to Desmond, he had a bunch of unicorns.
So Desmond says we can't record the starting of our meeting to define the 10 people.
The thing is it's an insult to our intelligence.
Rashad came in, said, I think we have an issue.
Well, you came to the call and you said, I understand we got some issues. There's some issues. That was.
Listen, I got 4 people like different. Hey, can you get on the call? There's something going on. Hey, and I'm just like, relax. This is easy, guys.
Just getting the executive search firm in the door to do like that, it was incredibly frustrating. And here's the thing, there are specific names in executive search that everyone knows and everyone goes to, and they're very traditional in their approach. Had we been traditional in anything as a business, this would have been easy.
When they hired our firm, they could have hired Korn Ferry, Russell Reynolds, Spencer Stewart, Hydrix, or Boyden, or Diversified Search. They did not. They, in fact, scoured the country in order to find a search firm that could focus on driving an inclusive state of candidates because inclusion matters to them.
The social responsibility piece is why we picked Focus and Find, right? As we began down our journey to select leadership for the organization, a chief executive officer, and socially responsible recruiting in the executive ranks. And they do this by removing the resumes and any information we would use to assess a candidate.
Throughout our process, even in just how we've constructed the company, what we believe in, what's important to us, there's nothing that we like to do in the same way that everyone has done it. Even as we went about looking for a CEO, we wanted the process and the team that we're working with to reflect this concept of redefine possible. I mean, even at one point, one of the folks we were talking to said it. He was like, listen, staffing is staffing, search is search. And they would say, what you're looking for is impossible. Everyone you talk to, they're gonna say the same thing. Oh, well, it's probably gonna be hard to find that person because, and they come up with a reason before they even started the search. We weren't satisfied with that. And so we just kept pushing and kept pushing and kept pushing. And there was a point where we finally found what we were looking for. We don't even get to know any demographic background about any of the candidates. They try to sanitize their resumes, their CVs, and their background as much as they can so that we don't bring any bias to our decision.
I enjoy that process thoroughly, being a data scientist. My job is to remove as much human bias in the data that I have so I can project or come up with the right answer to the question that people are asking.
Focus on being socially responsible in our recruitment. Why do I focus on that? Because I believe that we have to, in order to really drive down the DE&I, right? I think we really need to drive an inclusive process. Do you have a process for your sales? The answer, unequivocally. Do you have a process for your marketing? Unequivocally. You're not going to be in business if no one knows you're there. You're not going to be in business if you don't get sales, right? So you have to have a process. And we see recruitment as process driven. We do a blind recruitment for our clients. So blind recruitment process, blind candidate slates, blind reporting, blind assessments, psychological assessments, blind focus 10, which would be top 10, a blind focus 5 would be your top 5. So we're talking a CEO search, we might be looking for a top 5, top 7, right? But typically our process goes 10, Then at that 10, we meet back with our client because our client has been blind this entire time. They see information. We have our own portal. We have our own technological portal for our clients. We had to create a technological portal because what we do, no one in the nation does. We are the nation's only socially responsible board & executive search firm.
And I was like, that's the approach that we need. And we've already said we didn't know what we were doing anyway. And we knew that if we went into this process and we were in charge of determining everything and we had to do the search, it was going to come back with our biases, our issues, our proclivities. There are probably things that our company needs that are well outside of our comfort zone. Until we got with Focus and Find and Desmond, like once we got to that point, we knew that we had everything we needed.
So we started the conversation today with our executive recruiters, Focus and Find. We started with 10 resumes, candidates, excellent, ideal candidates, and our job today is to reduce those to 3. And from those 3, we will be making our selection for CEO.
This is a really critical conversation that we're having today. One of the reasons we chose Focus and Find is because they have such an amazing process that is focused on driving diversity in a fair and objective way.
It gives us the best chance to do that in leading the organization. And there's reasons for all of them. I think this
And
person,
so what they did is met with us back in December to say, what is the candidate that you're looking for? What type of education do they need? What type of networks do they need? What should their past business portfolio look like? What does their leadership style and experience look like? And they cataloged all of it. And as you'll often hear Desmond say, if you ask us for a blue striped polka dotted catfish, I'm gonna find you a blue striped polka dotted catfish.
and at the end of the day, we're gonna have 3 candidates that we're gonna go ahead and interview, and it's not until that point that they'll go ahead and reveal their names, demographic background, and all of that. Today, what we're trying to accomplish is to get to the 3 that we're actually gonna interview.
They all look pretty much the same, right? I mean, and you would expect it, right? Anybody that's going to be a candidate for this type of position is going to be strong in the same areas across the board, right?
0634, I have 9247, and I have 9171.
Those are our top 5. So getting to 5 was rather quick, and that probably took us in a meeting with Focus and Find maybe 20 minutes. For the next 2 hours, it took us to get to 3.
Where I might be right now is I'm trying to determine where 9171 fits.
Number 2 is really that good. Number 1 should knock number 2 out. And then number 3, they're pulling up the rear because you thought they pulled up the rear anyway. They have a chance to overcome both 1 and 2, but typically if your game is really between 1 and 2, you should see 2 first, then 1, and then 1 would frame 2, and then you could have a better idea as to where you stand.
We selected the 3 that had an excellent balance between managing large groups of people and showing progression through that management, as well as managing a company and seeing year-over-year growth.
I would say we got exactly what we want from it, but it even exceeded my expectations.
We had a final group of 10. Out of that 10, 50% of those were African American, 40% were Caucasian, 20% were men, 10% was Asian, 80% was female, 20% was male, 10% was African American male, 10% was Caucasian male, 10% was Asian female.
I did not expect that. I hoped for it. I had faith that it might happen. I believed it was possible.
How do they match what our ethos study tells us we are, and how would they add to our ethos as a company when they come in? So the challenge is creating a clean slate, removing your own biases now, and having those conversations with the candidates. Because this candidate takes us in a completely different direction than the one yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I think I knew it was going to be tougher, but now it's like, I think it really comes back to us, right? Like, what is it we want to do, right?
She said, well, she gave ideas for industries where we could offer value. And she was naming things I would never have thought of.